welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my May reading wrap-up video. I've only made one other reading wrap-up, but it's very popular on BookTube. I'm excited to have another one on my channel because these videos are so fun to watch. It's so fun to see what everyone has read within the month. Today, it's the May reading wrap-up. We were talking about all the books I have read in May. I think that's the gist. Yep, let's get into it. Okay, the first book I read was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This book was amazing. This is about a girl named Bree and a guy named Nathan. They have been best friends for a very long time, but they're stuck in the friend zone. You get Bree's point of view and Nathan's point of view. I love a dual POV because I need to know what's going on in each of their heads, especially the guy's head. Some romances are just told from the girl's perspective, and I don't appreciate that. I need the guy's perspective too. They both really love each other, but they haven't told the other one because they think the other one thinks they're just friends. But really, they both are keeping each other in the friend zone, even though they both like each other. So you know that they both like each other, so you see the sweet things they do for each other. But then they start fake dating because Nathan is an NFL football star. Bree is a ballerina, so it is a sports romance, but it more talks about his football stuff rather than her dancing stuff. They have to start fake dating because a video is posted online and they need to make it look real. They do start fake dating in public, and I just love the fake dating trope. I think it's so fun. I don't know why, because you know they're always gonna fall for each other. One of my favorite scenes though was when all the guys were getting together with Nathan. All of Nathan's buddies from the football team got together to make the cheat sheet on how to get out of the friend zone with her. And they had all these steps. It was so funny to me. I loved the friends in this book. I highly recommend. I did rate it 4 stars. I think it's more like a 4.5 stars though. I didn't do the half rating on Goodreads yet. It was a little too cheesy at moments, but I think it was just such a fluffy romance. I will say though, it's not all kicks and giggles. Mental health is dealt with in this book, and I think it's dealt with very beautifully. It gives a trigger warning in the beginning. It talks about one of the characters will have a panic attack and anxiety attack, and you see that on the page, and I think it's very beautiful how it is played out and how the characters help each other. Highly recommend. Fantastic book. Okay, next book. What did I read? Oh, All the Bright Places. Yes. Okay, this book, I have very conflicting thoughts on this. This is about a boy named Theodore Finch, but they call him Finch. He's very fascinated by death, and it's about a girl named Violet who meets Finch in a really interesting circumstance, really sad circumstances. They meet each other and they decide together they're gonna help each other, and they hang out with each other a lot. It's a coming of age story. It's just general fiction. There is some romance, but I would not classify this as a romance book. It made me really think deeply about mental health because both of the characters, especially one of them, deals with mental health. But you really get into his brain and just see what he's thinking, and it really makes you think a lot. It had dual point of view, which I really appreciate in any book. I will say it was a little hard to follow at times because some of their thoughts were so abstract. They used a lot of figurative language in this book, so it was a little confusing for me at times because the characters are just thinking so out there. But I appreciated this book. I rated it 3 stars because it was kind of hard to follow. It's a really sad story. I appreciate that I read it because it made me think more about mental health, but I don't know if I would recommend it. But it's good. I just don't think I'd recommend it because it really put me in a weird spot afterwards. The next book I read was A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. I have watched this movie recently with my cousin. It's her favorite movie. The movie was so cute. It was just so sweet and wholesome. Beautiful movie. So I thought I would really like the book, and I did like the book. I rated it 4 stars. I think it's more like a 3 stars. I'm gonna change that on my Goodreads. I cried reading this book. I knew what was coming. I watched the movie. I should have known better. I did cry. I cannot tell you the last time I cried at a book. Most people cry at All the Bright Places. I didn't cry in this, but I definitely cried in this. It wasn't like full-on sobbing, but I had some tears in my eyes. It's a really short book. It's only, it's less than 200 pages. You can get through it in a day. I did. This is about a boy named Landon and a girl named, why do I forget her name? Jamie. And it's about their relationship starting in high school, but then Jamie's dealing with a lot and Landon figuring out what she's dealing with, and it's really pulls at your heartstrings. It's a sweet romance. I think Landon in the movie is fantastic. I liked the movie better, which I don't say often, but I did like the movie better. One of the main reasons I did not like this book was Nicholas Sparks' writing. I have not read any other books by Nicholas Sparks. I have one more up here that I haven't read, but I was not expecting how rude he was. I think he was very judgmental about people's bodies and disabilities. This was not dealt with in a respectful manner of people with disabilities or people that are struggling with their body types. I was still appalled at some of the things that were said in this book. It made me want to slap him in the face, and that's why I didn't like this book as much, because I thought it was very judgmental of other people and it made me mad at times. So I don't really know if I'd recommend it. I would definitely recommend the movie because the movie is fantastic. It is a 5-star movie, but the book is not so much. The next book I read was a little sad that I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I read The DoOver by Lynn Painter. I love Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. That was a 5-star read for me. This is only 3 stars. I don't want to bump it down to a 2, but it was almost a 2.5. It was so hard to follow. It is a take on Groundhog Day, reliving Valentine's Day. Emily relives Valentine's Day over and over again. On that day, it's a terrible day for her. She sees her boyfriend cheating. She meets a new guy. She keeps wrecking into Nick's car. So Nick and her start to hang out more, but really it's just the same day living over and over again. So it's very insta-love if you fall in love within a day. Even though she's falling in love over and over again, he's not, because it's just that same day. And there were some really weird turns on the last day. It was still a really easy read, really fluffy read, but I just don't think it was anything compared to Better Than the Movies. I don't know. It was definitely a disappointing read, but the cover is beautiful. I'll give it that. Next, I read The Perfect Marriage. This is a psychological thriller about Sarah Morgan. Sarah is a successful attorney, and it's about her husband. I think his name's Adam. Yes, as Adam. Adam is suspected of killing his mistress, so Sarah becomes his attorney to defend him, her husband, for killing his mistress. I saw the ending coming. I saw the twist towards the beginning. Some people say that there's a huge plot twist in this. There is a big plot twist, but you can pick up on it throughout the book. I really liked how this was written though. I rated this 4 stars because I truly thought this was such a fast-paced read. It was so interesting to get into. I wrote in my Goodreads review that I felt like I was reading Law and Order. I haven't watched much of that, but it felt like I was watching a court case, and I really like that. Now, the only experience I have watching a real court case is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but I still felt like I was in the courtroom. It was a really easy read. It's not creepy, which I appreciate. I'm glad I didn't stay up late into the night thinking about this. However, the language is very strong in this book. I would say it's about a 4 out of 5 for language. It's pretty strong. And there is a little bit of spice. It's a little too much for my liking, but it's not the main plot point at all. It does not go into explicit detail. I did like this book though. I would recommend this book actually, 16 and up, but it was a very interesting psychological thriller. It did make you think, but you could sort of figure out what was going on during the book. Then I went over to my Kindle. Yes, I got a Kindle. No, I have not posted a video about the Kindle yet, because I feel like I'm not well versed enough in the Kindle to say anything about it. But let me just tell you right now, I love this thing. I got this for a trip that we went on and absolutely fell in love with using the Kindle. It's so convenient, but I digress for now. I read the next 1, 2, 3, 4 books on my Kindle because we were on a trip and it was just so much easier to read on this than bring a physical copy. The first book I read was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is part of the Knock 'Em Out series. Knock 'Em Out is the town. This is about Naomi, and her twin sister asked her to come into this little town named Knock 'Em Out to meet her. But turns out her sister played her, and everyone thinks that she's her evil sister in town. And one of the main guys who really doesn't like her is Knox. But Naomi has to convince Knox that I'm not my sister. I know, she's crazy. Knox finds Naomi a place to stay, and Naomi has to take in her sister's daughter, so that's her niece, that she never knew she had. Her name's Waylay. I actually love kids in books. Some people don't like when there's a kid thrown in the mix, but this kid, I just always think kids in books are fun, so I liked having the kid there. So yes, it's a romance between Knox and Naomi. It goes back and forth. I didn't like it at all. I rated this book a 1 star because I felt like it was extremely inappropriate. I did post on my Goodreads, so if you want to go there, you can find the closed door modifications. Pages and chapters you should skip if you want to have it be closed door, not much spice, because that's what I did. If I got to a part, I would skip it until that chapter was over so I wouldn't have to read all the crap. I will say, pros of this book, there's a good found family aspect. I really do like when friends just become family, and the friends in this book were hilarious to me. However, there's a lot of cons to this. The guy was crazy, borderline psycho. I did not like the guy at all. He was just terrible. He was very manipulative. Didn't like him at all. Oh, here's this. He used the pet name Baby. It's fine if you want to call her Babe. I I don't mind that. If you want to say, hey babe, baby crosses the line. And it was even before they liked each other. It was just baby. And I do not like that. Huge ick. Don't like that at all. Like some random guy calling you baby, like get out of my face. That's what I would say. Very strong language, very unnecessary, very spicy. Putting that all out there. I do not recommend this book at all. I don't even think the story was good, to be honest. I think their relationship was not built on love or admiration for one another. I think it was built on lust, and that is an immediate no for me. If it's just physical attraction, no, not at all. Yes, in a relationship, you want to be physically attracted to the person, but there's got to be other things going on that you like about that person rather than just, oh, I like the way they look. No, do not read this book. So after that book, I needed something fluffy and sweet and wholesome and pure. And I found it with Sarah Adams' book, The Off Limits Rule. I just love her books. They're all closed door. They're all very appropriate. I did rate this a 4 stars because her books are just a little cheesy. They're not 5-star material in my mind. Maybe I can read one that is 5-star material. This was such a sweet book. It's not very highly rated on Goodreads, but I decided to put those reviews aside and just go ahead and read it. And I'm really glad I did. It is a brother's best friend trope. I like that trope. I think it's interesting because there's just so much tension and it's like crossing the line. Like you shouldn't date your brother's best friend. But this was interesting to read. I think it just makes me think and it just makes me laugh. It's a little angsty when it's a brother's best friend trope and I like it. I like Vampire Diaries angsty. Like you shouldn't be with him at all, but I can't stop. That kind of thing. He was a really sweet guy though. His name's Cooper and the girl's name is Lucy. Now Lucy's a little bit of a fruitcake. She's a little quirky, but it just kind of makes it's cringy, but it's supposed to be cringy. I appreciate it. I appreciate the cringe. And there's a second book with the brother that I want to read. It's part of the It Happened in Nashville series. Okay, the next book I read on my Kindle as well was The Housemaid's Secret, which is the second book after The Housemaid. I have The Housemaid right here. This is The Housemaid. I read the second book, The Housemaid's Secret. It's about Millie, who's also in the first book. Millie in the second book is still doing housework. I really don't understand why she's still in the same line of work. And then she gets herself twisted up into another mystery, another family scandal kind of thing. She starts working for a family, or a couple, not a family, and the husband keeps telling her, my wife's really sick. She is in her room all the time, please don't bother her. But then she notices things about the wife and about the room and her clothes that she thinks are concerning. So she tries to step in and help and things go haywire. The plot twist is very easy to guess, in my opinion. To me, it was not as good as The Housemaid because I just wanted to grab Millie and shake her because she wasn't understanding. There were so many red flags to this situation that she never picked up on. I think she should have just called the cops to begin with. That's all I'm saying. But I don't think I rated this book. I would rate it a 3 stars. It's mediocre. It's an interesting, really fast-paced read. I read it super quickly. It's not as good as The Housemaid though, so I don't think you have to read the second book at all. Okay, the next book I read was Ghosted by J.M. Darhower. This is a very hyped up book in my mind. I've wanted to read this book for a really long time because I liked the premise. I like whenever there's a celebrity romance, and this was second chance romance. This is about Kennedy and Jonathan. They met when they were in high school. They had a little relationship in high school. Then it flashes several years later where Kennedy and Jonathan have a kid, but Jonathan's not in the picture. He knows he has a child, but he's not a part of the picture. He just sends the checks and doesn't have anything to do with his family. He was an alcoholic, but now he's turned his life around and he wants to be back in the picture. He is this big movie star, and that's one part of the book I really liked because I like to hear about the glamour of the celebrity lifestyle, but also the downside that he was experiencing. And he really just wanted to be back in their life, and I think it's interesting to read about groveling and like really just trying to dig yourself out of that hole, saying like, I want to be here, I want to be here. And finally Kennedy just giving him a chance to be with his daughter, and the daughter in this book is hilarious. I think she's so funny. I do like kids in books. The cons to this book was that it was spicy and it had language in it. I posted the closed door modifications on my Goodreads, so go there if you want to read the book, but there's language all throughout, just letting you know. I definitely would suggest 16 and up for this book as well, maybe even 18 and up. I liked the book, but I didn't feel any true chemistry with Jonathan and Kennedy, so I gave it a 3 stars, but I think the premise of the book was sweet and I liked the kid. She was hilarious. The last book I read this month is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I loved this book. I think I'm gonna rate it a 4.5 stars. This is about a girl named Hannah who is a bodyguard. She works for this security business. Hannah is tasked with being the bodyguard for Jack Stapleton. This is another bigwig actor. She's tasked with being his bodyguard because his mom is very sick and he has to come back home, but he has a stalker back home. However, he doesn't want his family to know that he is in danger, so she has to act like his girlfriend and be with him at all times. So it is another fake dating trope. I love fake dating tropes. And it's set on a ranch. It's a very country. It's a very good summer book if you want to read it during the summer. It's beautiful. The cover's just gorgeous. It's hilarious. It's very appropriate. Not much language at all. I highly recommend this book. Fantastic. Those are all the books I read this month. Please comment down below your favorite book that you read this month or books that you want to read coming up. I will be posting my TBR for June really soon, so keep your eye out for that. And comment below any books you want me to read in June. That would be great if you could put suggestions down below. Any books that you've been thinking about reading but you want someone's review on first, or books that you love that you want me to read. I did not get through every book on my TBR because I kind of derailed and went to my Kindle, but maybe next time. I read a ton of romance books this month, so I want to talk about love and God's love. 1 Peter 4:8 says, "Above all, love each other deeply because love covers over a multitude of sins." God's love for us is so deep. He sent Jesus to die on the cross for our sins, and that just shows his immeasurable love. And because God loves us, we must love others. We need to care for others and love them deeply and have empathy for other people. Now, I'm not the most empathetic person ever. I'm trying to work on it, being able to feel what other people are feeling, but I'm trying to work on being more empathetic. And I really do think that loving others really helps yourself as well. It helps you feel more joyful and more at peace. You don't have to like everyone, but you can love them from genuine love that comes from God. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had a good reading month. Please comment anything down below. And I hope you'll have a wonderful, wonderful day and be a blessing to others today. Bye, guys.